Let us now do Kapitel 10, beginning of chapter 10. So we have present participles and past participles. These will be very useful. And we will just dive right in. So Kapitel 10, present participles are coming up first. So we have der sterbende Wald. And so you probably recognize the article, adjective, noun. We've been doing adjectives and nouns for a while. So it's a modifier, as in it's an adjective. But it's an adjective that was formed out of a verb, and in English we would do ing. And so what you have here is sterben is to die, and then all you do to make that ing type ending is you add a d onto it in German, and then now it's an adjective, so it needs whatever adjective endings you would normally have. So this is masculine with a definite article, in the nominative we're assuming, so that's the corresponding adjective ending. So it's the infinitive of a verb plus the d plus whatever ending it would need according to the gender, the number, the case, type of article. Der sterbende Wald, the dying forest. Das fließende Wasser, the running water. So fließen means to flow, or in the case of water, to run. So fließen, that's the ending of the verb. Then the d, then the adjective ending that you need for this situation. Der entscheidende Moment. So entscheiden, that's the, they have them listed out here too. Entscheiden, to decide. So then you add the d, and that makes deciding. And then, of course, we need our adjective ending as well. It's the same. These are all in the nominative, and they've all got a definite article, singular, so they're all going to have that same e ending. Yeah. So all German infinitives can be turned into a present participle. So sometimes these are easy enough. These ones you can actually translate in a very parallel way. But sometimes it gets a little clunky where you need to do a relative clause in English instead of doing a present participle type thing in English. So these examples show that. Eine alleinstehende Mutter. So it's like alleinstehen is like to stand alone, as in to be single. And then, so alleinstehen, to be single or to be alone. And then the d is added to make it the ing equivalent. And then the e is added because it's an adjective, it needs the ending. So it's really saying a single living mother or a standing alone mother. But a standing alone mother is not a very good translation. So you can say a mother who is living on her own, or a mother who is, it's a single mother, but then alleinstehen is like actually talking about being alone, right? So a mother who is living on her own. And then das antwortende Kind. So this one, antworten is to answer, and then the d for the equivalent of the ing, present participle, and then the adjective ending. So you could say the answering child, and that's fine, but we might not say it that way in English. It may be a little weird. So if it sounds at all clunky, then just turn it into a relative clause. So a relative clause is who or that plus like a whole nother sentence. We'll do more relative clauses later in German, but you to recognize them in English, it's just who, that, or sometimes which, and then whatever, it could be any number of things, verbs and objects and things, like a whole nother sentence comes after. Yeah. Der im Wald stehende Bär, the bear that's standing in the woods. So stehen means to stand, and then we've added the d, and then the adjective ending, so standing, stehend. But in this case, we really don't have an option to do the parallel version in English. It would be the in the woods standing bear. The in the woods standing bear, and so we would never do that word order in English. So you have to convert this whole thing to a relative clause. The bear that is standing in the woods, or the bear who is standing in the woods. And then auf einem Boden liegender Baum, a on the ground lying tree. So we couldn't say it with quite that word order in English, but you just change it to a tree that is lying on the ground. Yeah. So you can insert, these two just have prepositional phrases. but you could insert any number of things. They could get quite long. And then towards the end of the term, the Kapitel 21, Kapitel 22, these two chapters near the end build on this idea a little more, and we'll see like even longer versions of this. But for now, just notice that you can add little things in here, and that's when you really have to change the whole thing into a relative clause. And then we have, so those were present participles, things that are happening right now, but we can also do past participles, and these are maybe even more common. So present and past participles will frequently occur as adjectives. So das bedrohte Tier, which is the threatened animal. So bedroht is the past participle. So we learned how to make past participles when we did the perfect, the present perfect, the conversational past tense. That's when we learned how to form past participles. So that's really important to be able to recognize them. And then what's happening here is bedroht is then your past participle. It has an inseparable prefix. That's why it's be at the beginning and not ge. So inseparable prefix is blocking the ge. But then we have this T right here is because it's a past participle. And then because it's now an adjective as well, we are adding this adjective ending. Das bedrohte Tier. And then this one's in present again. Das fließendes Wasser. Now there's no article, so see how we have this different ending? Because when there's no article, we have different adjective endings. So it's fließendes Wasser. And then das ist verboten. So this one, it's a past participle, and it's just being used as an adjective, but it's not right before it's noun, so it doesn't need a ending. It's just a normal adjective hanging out after the verb. And then this one's the same. Die Antwort war überraschend. The answer was surprising. So this one is very similar to English. The answer was surprising. Die Antwort war überraschend. So all we've done, überraschend means to surprise. So we just added the D, and it means surprising instead. So some of them can be quite straightforward, and others are trickier. Yeah, so then we have present participles that are often used as adverbs. So we have fließen, Deutsch sprechen. So difference between like fließendes Wasser, running water or flowing water, versus to speak German flowingly, which is like this is the same word. It means fluently or flowingly. So here it's actually an adverb because it's modifying sprechen, which is a verb. So if you're going to modify a verb, it's going to be an adverb, and adverbs don't take endings. So and they're not adjectives. Adjectives take endings, but adverbs don't need endings. So all we do is we take fließen, which is the verb, and then add the D, and then it makes it to an adverb like fluently, to speak it fluently, fließend. And then dringend is a very common word that it's so common that I almost forget that it's actually a present participle, because dringend means like to urge or to like force, and then you add the D and it means urgently, or but dringend is just urgently. It happens all the time. It's a very common word. And then überraschend, surprisingly. Yeah, so überraschend, to surprise, and then surprising with the D. But then since German doesn't have like different adverb forms, and since you're modifying this adjective here, high, hohe, then the English translation would include the adverb form. Überraschend hohe Preise. Okay, so we have some nouns modified by a present participle, which are doing something. Das schlafende Kind, the sleeping child or the child who is sleeping. Die Bücher schreibende Frau, the woman who is writing books. And if you try to make this exactly parallel, it would be the books writing woman, which would be confusing in English. So it needs to be changed to a relative clause, the woman who is writing books. And then die blühende Blume, the blossoming flower. You can just translate word for word, and that one works out just fine. Blühen means to blossom or to bloom. Yeah. So, but with a past participle, something has been done to the noun. So the difference between das geschriebene Wort, the written word, the word has been written down, and that's a different relationship than die schreibende Frau, the writing woman, the woman who writes. The woman does the writing, but then in the past participles, it's the word that has been written. Something has been done to the word. So it's just a different relationship. Das geschriebene Wort, past participle, plus an ending for the correct number, case, and type of article and gender. Der gerade angekommene Zug, the train that just arrived, the just arrived train. So, yeah, it's the train that has just arrived, either way. And then, well, this is the good translation. The just arrived train is not a very good translation. But, yeah, we need a relative clause in this one. Die im Text angeführten Informationen, the in the text given or cited information. Yeah. So we're going to change this one over to a relative clause. The information that was cited in the text, die im Text angeführten Informationen. Yeah. So you can see how this is, it almost changes it into a passive. Yeah, the in the text cited information, but then we say the information that was cited, it looks like it changes into a passive. It's just how it is with the past participles. So that's just sort of an introduction to what these participles can do, and you need to get comfortable with them in this sort of simple form before they get more complicated later. So we just have some examples of sentences that have participles, some present participles, schlafend, essend, wachsend, besuchend, and then a couple of past participles, gestohlen, gekauft, gefallen, aufgenommen, renoviert. Yeah, so the last 6 are going to be past participles, and the first 5, or the last 5 are past participles, the first 5 are present participles, and just translate those as beautifully as you can. So that's all. It's a pretty quick unit. Viel Spaß bei den Übungen. Have a lot of fun with the exercise, and I'll see you in the next video. Tschüss, bis bald.